So Chet Hagenbarth, the town manager for Killington, is with us again. And Chet, thanks so much for making the time. And you and I talked about a month ago, talked about a number of different things that were going on in the town related to the COVID. And we're kind of pushing through things, and um, a lot of regulations have been relaxed and things are opening up. And I know one thing that a lot of people in the greater Killington area were really hoping for, and we alluded to it in our last interview, was the Green Mountain National Golf Course opening. And the Green Mountain National Golf Course, for those of you who are watching, is actually a municipally owned golf course by the town. It's managed by a golf company, and but it's something that the town really prides itself in, and has done a lot of work to really get a hold of things and turn the ship around a little bit. And it has opened, and Chet, I thought I'd give you a moment to talk a little bit about that and some of the stipulations and regulations that you have with the course right now.
Yeah, the golf course opened last Wednesday. It actually opened 2 days later than we had planned because of the snow we had on that Sunday. But the golf course was open for the first week as a 9-hole course only, walking only. And the course opened, they modified that this past Monday to 18 holes, and they are now providing carts. We are still trying to limit it to people that can verify as much as possible that they've been in the state for either reside here or have been here for the quarantine time, and things of that nature. But we have had quite a few people actually there. We're actually the season passes are finally selling, and we are opening, I don't remember the dates because we are running like 1 day less for the restaurant. The restaurant's running but not indoors. Obviously it's the pickup window. And we're working on increasing the outdoor seating and things of that nature. So we're trying to see how we can accommodate. I would say the biggest unknown at this point, golf-wise, is the groups and the large functions, which are actually quite a bit of our revenue, and looking at how we're going to address those. I mean, we're talking about there's one tournament they're trying to figure out how to do it. Shotgun starts. Can't happen because everybody has to arrive at the same time and be clustered, where now it's going to be, they're basically going to have like 15-minute intervals between people arriving, and it's going to have to be run the whole course in order. So it'll just take a little bit more time. Things are going to be run a little bit differently, but I do anticipate that the course will run and operate normally. We're trying to manage cost by saying, well, we don't know. We're trying to ramp it up slowly and manage costs, because in case we start to see a dramatic drop off in potential revenue. We've done like we have our normal budget, and we've done a 30% and a 50% reduction in revenue, and looking at what those things will look like. The important thing is whether or not we open the golf course, we're going to spend over $200,000 just maintaining the course anyway. So if we're able to keep the cost low and we can be open at least to residents and at least to this, and looking at what the guidelines are doing, like yesterday, the CDC relaxed the guidelines related to surfaces, which will have a dramatic impact, because it means, becomes more of, you're only worried about the social distance and the air transmission more than you are like every surface touching, a doorknob and things like that. So while we still will be cleaning and we'll be doing whatever the guidelines are, it looks like it's improving quickly. And if it continues that way for another month, we really, from the town's perspective, need July, August, and September to do well. And we're hoping that maybe things will be, fairly open by then.
Well, we're coming up on Memorial Day weekend. The weather forecast looks fantastic through the weekend and into the following week. So hopefully, pass holders can get out there and enjoy it, and hopefully some greens fees and people in the greater Killington area can get up there and experience that.
Yeah, and they are running the specials right now. I mean, it is dramatically reduced greens fees. If don't quote me because my memory's not so good anymore. But as I recall, it was like, with a cart, it was like $50 or something like that for rounds of golf at this point, coming up. So we are looking at, promoting the lower cost early season rounds. And from what I've heard, the golf course is in pretty good shape. We actually weathered the winter very well. And barring the virus causing some delays in people being able to play, I think it's going to be a great summer for it.
So you were speaking about revenues, and you know, obviously that's how the town functions. Whether it's tax revenue coming in, you know, other entities like the golf course bringing money in to help the town. One of the other funding mechanisms that the town relies on is a local options tax for rooms, meals, and alcohol. And with you know the downturn in the economy, with restaurants closing, with lodging closing, you know, right around St. Patrick's Day, one would think that there's going to be a dip in the amount of revenue that comes in, not only statewide but also to the town through those option taxes. What has the town done? What have you done as manager to kind of forecast that and prepare for that, with most likely a dip in those revenue sources?
Well, we've actually developed a couple of contingency plans. Actually, we just got our last quarter revenue for their options tax, and we were off about $87,000 from budget for that quarter, but we were over. We did better in the first 3 quarters for the year, so our total loss for the fiscal year is about 39 grand. So it's not a horrible outcome. You know, for options tax, our taxes, because our last tax bill was due in February, we're about where we were. We're approximately, you know, comparing year over year proportionally, because we had a higher tax rate this year, so we were collecting more, but trying to looking at it proportionately, we're off maybe $60,000 or $70,000 for total tax revenue, and we have about 28 more properties that are delinquent than we did at the same time last year, because people usually continue to pay right up till June 30th. But, you know, when we made the announcement in April that we were going to be foregoing interest, we actually had a couple calls. People were saying, well, when will you be starting the interest again? And when is the end of the year? So people are holding it as long as they can, to, you know, for safety reasons. So, you know, hopefully June will be a better month for that. But we are actually still a little better than projected revenues for the year from taxes, and we're going to be okay from the town's perspective for the current year. The big question is going into next year and how this has affected second homeowners and our local businesses related to the August 15th first tax payment that's coming. So we looked at the possibility of, you know, well, the one good thing, and was brought up at the select board meeting, when you look at our current treasurer's report for the first time at the end of April, we have, when you account for what's in the restricted funds and what's in the for the state payment for the final school payment on June 1st, which is like $4.6 million, we still have over $1 million of cash in the bank. We don't have to go borrow any money this year. We're in a good place. We now have our reserve fund in place. So I think, you know, for this fiscal year, we're absolutely fine. We're looking at, you know, for emergency perspective, we have about $900,000 in reserve funds. Looking at our capital expenses we plan for this year, if we just hold off putting those into restricted funds for the time being and have it there in cash, and maybe we delay a couple of projects, we're looking at trying to keep in an extra reserve, 300 to 600,000, depending on which way we go, which would then allow us, if the emergency arrived and we had that kind of shortage in taxes, we could then go back to the voters in November and say, we'd like to switch this money, repurpose the money through the voters. But we will have, you know, I look at it as if we have $1.5 million worth of contingency. I think my goal and my hope is we're not going to have to borrow any money to get through this. So it'll depend on how fast it comes back. I'm actually more concerned, you know, I'm concerned about second homeowners, but I'm more concerned about our local businesses, because they're taking a bigger hit than maybe a lot of the people who have second homes. Sure. So, you know, we'll see how that starts to play out. So we're going to try and be flexible with those things. But I think we have enough contingency to be able to manage the process, and we're just going to try and manage cash flow.
So other town business that's taken place and has been passed since you and I talked a month ago is, and I'm not sure the exact terminology, but the Airbnb registration compliance ordinance, law, or regulations. And I just wanted to give you an opportunity to to tell our viewers a little bit about that? What is going to go into all that? Because it's actually another opportunity for a revenue stream for the town, compliance that folks, if they are renting their places out, are going to have to abide by.
Yeah, it's related to all short-term rentals. Basically, the town, we looked at a process. The issue we had was the ability to enforce existing rules. There is a really difficult method, and if you want to include the enforcement piece and the information piece to each of the homeowners, because what we found out through this process, a lot of people didn't know a lot that they had to meet these regulations. So by what we did as of May 5th, on the Tuesday, May 5th, is passed a rental registration permit program, which is actually included in the zoning ordinance. And what homeowners will have to do is come in, sign a permit, and basically what they're doing is agreeing to the number of bedrooms that's allowed per all of their permits. Anybody can go put an addition on, get the permits for wastewater, all of those things, but they can do it. But they have, if you're over 8 people in your home, you have to meet Division of Fire Safety regulations. Whatever your wastewater permit allows, if your wastewater permit allows 4 bedrooms, it allows 8 people. That's just what it allows. And then zoning has always allowed just the 2 people per bedroom, and that's been in effect for all along. So the goal is to say we're gonna work with each of the homeowners and say, okay, so what do your permits say? And then we say that's what, and we come up with a document that says, okay, well, your fire safety says you can have this, your wastewater says this, and zoning says this. And we fill out the document and they sign and say, yes, we agree that that's the correct number based on these permits. So there will be a fee associated with it because we are going to have to monitor and enforce the rules. But the goal is to just enforce existing rules. And there's nothing special. I mean, if you look at the permit, it's really basic. It's got 5 little blocks to say check off. Do you have your fire safety thing? Do you have this? And anybody with eight people in a facility or less is able to self-certify, because if the one thing that the select board did do was in the original planning commission recommendation, and then the planning commission, when they did a re-review, decided to take it out. But we did give a bonus of 2 people. So if you have a 3-bedroom house, you could have 3 bedrooms, which would allow 6 people. But, they said, what about a pull-out couch? What about a couple of bunk beds? So you can get plus 2 people in each location. So, technically that's still a violation of wastewater, but it doesn't happen every time typically with those situations. So it's not a critical concern. But we do want to get things a little bit under control because we have 3-bedroom houses that are being listed as 6-bedroom houses that sleep 25, and as soon as you get to 16, you actually meet the hotel designation when it comes to the Division of Fire Safety, and you have to actually get put in sprinklers and all kinds of fun stuff.
Right.
So the thing is this is about health and safety. There's
safety and welfare, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean the issue becomes the homeowner doesn't know, the rent person who's renting it, if they don't know. And these things happen, and the insurance companies don't cover it, because if you don't tell your insurance company that you're renting commercially into the short-term rentals, they will not honor the goal because you violated your policy. So it's really about protecting everybody and just making it much simpler for the town to be able to enforce and monitor.
Nice, good.
And the goal, and right now we have a special meeting we're planning for Tuesday the 26th. I have the right date? I think so. Which will be to review the permit itself and the fee structure.